This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. The Fireman Moving Company is the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you are looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast. We are the official podcast of the Red Towel Trust Collective, and we are a proud member of the College Huddle podcast community. As always, make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter being the main ones. Make sure you slide over and check out our YouTube channel at Topper Talk Podcast. Check out all the video episodes as we update them every single week. Tyler, ready to jump in, man? We've got a lot of fun basketball stuff to talk about, man. We got a big one to jump into. You ready?
Yeah, man. That's for everybody. Good episode, boy.
But before we dive into, the basketball games that were this past week, we have to get caught up with our Red Towel wrap-up, which catches us up with all the athletic news that we've missed since we last recorded and is brought to us by Trent Bedding Company.
Don't forget your headboards, pillows, and your sheets. We got everything you need for a good night's sleep. Number one on the same check, best of Bowling Green.
All right. Hey! Twins, full, queen and king. Mattresses for anything. Come and pick it out and we can bring it to your house. Have you sleeping real good before the weekend's out. Trent Bedding. It's just like a mattress store. Hey.
All right, we're going to start out strong. So as we all know, Upton Stout, he participated in the Senior Bowl week, and he did great out there. He boosted his stock a ton, and he was even named to the American Team Defensive Back of the Week.
Yeah, Upton had a really, really good week at the Senior Bowl of practice. He didn't participate in the game. I think that was a personal decision that he made after, how much good showings he had in practice. I mean, we shared a ton of clips of him playing defense, interviews on the field and after the practices. I mean, just scroll back a few days, and we shared a ton of stuff on our Twitter. Just everybody, all the media, talking heads, and just evaluators, everybody that was there and watching, named Upton Stout as one of the best performers every single day of practice. So he definitely went and showed that he belonged, mid-major school, small school, whatever it is. He showed that he can compete with the best of the best, and he definitely earned and deserved that defensive back player of the week for the American team.
And we ain't done with him yet. Upton Stout also he earned an invite to the 2025 NFL Draft Scouting Combine.
Yeah, just more recognition and earned and deserved for Upton. Got to be in front of a lot of, NFL team representatives, and, now he's going to be at the NFL Draft Combine. He's just going to be directly in front of, a lot of teams that can evaluate him, scout him, interview him. I really expect him to perform and test very well. I mean, we know he's just a crazy athlete. One of the best in shape humans I've ever seen in person. I mean, he is just a dog. Don't let his 5'8", 5'9" stature fool you. He plays so much bigger than that on the field. He's such a good person. He's such a good kid, and he's really good at football too. And I can't wait to see, how he does not only at the combine, but at the pro day, and to get to watch him and celebrate him when he does finally get to hear his name called at the NFL draft.
And we're going to be talking about a former Hilltopper and friend of the show and all around a great dude. Former Hilltopper Tom Eldred, he will be participating in the Nick Novak 2025 CFL Specialist Showcase.
Yeah, really awesome news for Tom. Obviously, like you said, friend of the podcast, came on and talked to us last year. Just really like the guy. He's still around Bowling Green, still loves this team, this university. Really happy for him getting an opportunity to showcase his skills for the Canadian Football League. Hopefully he gets a chance to stick on somewhere. Whether that's the NFL, the CFL, Arena Football League, wherever that is. We think Tom is a heck of a player. We know he's got a really good leg on him. We saw that for 2+ years here at Western Kentucky. So best of luck, Tom. We're right here rooting for you.
Moving on to the tennis team, WKU tennis players Emily Schutt and Mia Miranda were named Conference USA Double Teams of the Week. WKU tennis beat SIU Edwardsville 4-1.
Yeah, I always love to see our athletes earning those Player of the Week type awards. So definitely congratulations to our tennis ladies, Emily and Mia, for earning the doubles team of the week. Congratulations.
Sticking with the tennis team, WKU tennis announced the signing of Barbara Olvera.
Yeah, welcome to the Hill. Read that press release real quick. She's number one player in the country where she's at right now. I forget exactly where that is, but a left-handed player. So, us lefties, we're in the minority, but sometimes in sports that gives us a little bit of an advantage. So, looking forward to having her on the Hill. And like I said, welcome to the Hill, Barbara.
WKU baseball, they voted third in Conference USA preseason poll. Dawson Hall and Ethan Lizama were named to the preseason All-Conference USA team. WKU baseball also voted number 13th in the preseason mid-majors top 25.
Yeah, just absolutely amazing turnaround that Coach Rardon has orchestrated over at the baseball program. I mean, 3 years ago, that team was picked to finish last in Conference USA. We started making some noise, won 20 games. Last year, started making some noise, won even more games. And now this year, being voted by your peers to finish third in Conference USA behind a really good Dallas Baptist team that's always a top 25 team in the nation. And then Louisiana Tech, which is also just historically a really good baseball program. Coach Rardon has us right up there competing with those guys. I have a real good feeling about how this season is going to go. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be hard to hold on to Coach after this year. He was getting some sniffs and some calls last year. He decided to stay here and join us for another year on the Hill. Obviously, we hope that continues. We've got an indoor practice facility being built. Maybe that'll kind of bolster him wanting to stick around Bowling Green, Kentucky for a little bit longer. But man, a couple players voted to the preseason all conference team, and then WKU baseball being voted number 13 in the preseason mid-major top 25 is just unreal. The meteoric rise that program has had over the last couple of years, and I am absolutely here for it. I think they're going to shock some teams, and I'm ready for it.
I am too. Now, moving on to the golf team, WKU women's golf got a commitment from Brooke Bennett.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Just, a lot of commitments being announced and signed, and another one for the golf team, Brooke Bennett. Looking forward to seeing you on the Hill and helping us hopefully win some tournaments in the very near future. Welcome to the Hill, Brooke.
Now, moving back to football, the Conference USA football schedule is expected to be released this Thursday. As of right now, our non-conference games are on 8:30. We're hosting North Alabama. On 9/6, we're going to Toledo. 9/20, we're traveling out west to Nevada. Or we're hosting Nevada, I'm sorry. And then on 11/22, we're traveling down southeast in the Southeastern Conference to play at LSU.
Yeah, really looking forward to the football schedule coming out, because that just means we're that much closer to spring ball, the spring game, fall camp, and then the season being right around the corner, with the Feel Still magazine coming out in early July. So last year the schedule came out, I think it was on the 1st of February. Kind of been looking for it early this week, starting to hear chatter that it is probably going to come out this Thursday. The only thing I have potentially heard is I think we're opening Conference USA play against Missouri State. I don't know if that's home or away, but I think that will be an interesting matchup with a newcomer. Their coach is actually a WKU alum and former football player here, Ryan Beard. So that would be a fun matchup with some storylines in that game. Really looking forward to that when it gets announced and released. And we'll obviously have that on our Twitter page and share our thoughts about, just how it looks at first glance.
Moving on to the Lady Toppers basketball, they won their sixth game in a row by beating UTEP 65-59. This win was their 1100th win all time. Unfortunately, the Lady Toppers lost to New Mexico State 64-59 on Saturday, snapping their win streak.
Yeah, I mean, really loved that. We opened up their road trip by beating UTEP. Really awesome to see 6 wins in a row. I mean, in this league, men's and women's, we've just seen so much parity and so much trouble winning on the road. But them having won 6 games in a row was amazing. And we know they started that off early on with that victory over MTSU just a couple weeks ago, and now they had carried it on. 1,100 wins all times. I mean, that's one of the top programs in the nation all time. We know how good the Lady Toppers have been, going back to the 70s with Final Four appearances and a national runner-up. So just really proud of the Lady Toppers just battling, showing improvement, especially in conference play. Hate to see them lose to New Mexico State on Saturday. They did have a lead in that game and let it slip away. Hopefully they can shake that off. They get back at home this week, playing Kennesaw and Jacksonville State. So, just time to start a new win streak. That's all that means.
Now, Don McHenry, he was named Conference USA Player of the Week for the second time this season. And I know we'll talk about that later, but
yeah, a little foreshadowing. Don had a really good week. I think that's putting it very lightly. We will be talking about Don more, but congratulations to Don. Definitely deserved and earned that Player of the Week award.
And to pass along some sad news, WKU track and field coach Brent Chumley, he unexpectedly passed away Thursday night. RIP, coach.
Yeah, obviously news we hate to hear. We hate to have to share. But Friday morning, as I woke up, I started seeing a lot of our track and field athletes posting, really long tributes and memorials about Coach Chumley, about just how great a person and a man he was, how great a coach he was. He's like a father figure to a lot of our athletes. I think that really says a lot about the kind of person he was, the kind of coach he was. And I hate that for our track and field athletes and obviously his friends and family as well. Our thoughts and prayers are with them. We really hate to hear that. And rest in peace, Coach.
And that wraps up this Red Towel wrap-up. Moff, back to you. Brought to you by Trent Bedding Company. Moff, back to you.
Yeah, brought to us by Trent Bedding Company. Have to give them a shout-out. They're getting their money's worth with as much news and games and stats and infos we have to recap every single week. Same goes for Fireman. The Fireman Moving Company, been here with us almost since day one. I want to give a shout out to both of our sponsors. They are a big reason why this show exists. They help us deliver the content week in, week out, paying for the expenses. Unfortunately, this isn't a free venture. All this stuff that we're doing and recording and hosting and posting it does cost money. Not to mention things we've had to buy to even put the podcast on. So really appreciate our sponsors. We love that we have a couple pro WKU companies in the Fireman Moving Company and Trent Bedding Company. Really thankful for both of those sponsors. Really appreciate them and everything that they do. But yeah, we've got some basketball to talk about, Tyler, man. We were back in Diddle Arena finally, like I said in the previews of these games. Man, it had been way too long. We hosted UTEP this past Thursday. We came away with a 78-74 victory. That win moved us to 13-8 overall and 4-4 in conference play. We're back to 500. Love to see it. The announced attendance for the game was 2,947 people, which isn't a great number on paper, but I will say that it was nice to have the students back. There was a very large group of students there. It wasn't packed, it wasn't full, side to side, top to bottom full, but there were a lot of students there. And the environment, the atmosphere, the noise level, the engagement in Diddle Arena sounded way louder than 2,900 people. So, hopefully, as we continue winning games, hopefully that number continues to creep up. I know it does creep up for the next game. We are also very lucky to host a good friend of mine, friend of the podcast, we can call him. He has been on when we did the Marshall preview. Kenny Hudnall, affectionately known as KD, former host of the Moonshine Throwdown podcast. Him and his family came to the game and took in a game as neutral fans, watching the Tops. Love getting to hang out with them and see them. They've been good friends of mine and ours for several years now. So really was really nice to see them. And obviously, icing on the cake, we come out with a Hilltopper victory. So that's always a good day. Tyler, what are your thoughts on the game and the fans and the environment and just everything about this UTEP game and coming out of there with a victory?
Well, the game was everything that I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be tight. I thought it was going to be back and forth. You have a team coming in that leads the nation in steals, and they play a very aggressive type of defense, very aggressive offense, and pretty much the entire game. That reflects it. It was neck and neck, back and forth the entire game. The game was intense. Fans, you're right. It did sound a whole lot more than 2,900. I could have thought there was more. And it was great to finally get to meet KD and his family. I spent a couple years listening to him when he was hosting the Moonshine Throwdown, and it was finally great to get to meet him, shake his hand, talk to him. But that game was a good game. If you didn't get to go watch it, you missed out.
Yeah, you missed out on a good one on Thursday and an even better one on Saturday. I can't wait to talk about that one as well. But first, let's talk about this UTEP game and the stat leaders from the game. Christian Lander had a coming out party, 28 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. He was our leading scorer. Don McHenry coming off the bench again, 20 points and 3 rebounds. Then Enoch Kalambe chipped in 10 points and 6 rebounds. And then Tyro Marshall, not in double figures, but I had to give him a shout out, 8 points and 8 rebounds. He was our leading rebounder. Really love to see that. We need that aggressiveness. We need that attention to detail and crashing the boards. We need everything that Tyrone Marshall has been doing the last few games. He truly has been an X factor. And I know we're going to talk about him some more, especially as we talk about New Mexico State. Looking at the team stats for this game, field goal percentage, WKU shot 55.6% from the field. Over the last 3-4 games, we had been, barely floating above 40%. So for us to shoot over 55% from the field was incredible. UTEP shot only 41.1% from the field. WKU shot 31.8% from 3. UTEP shot 34.6%. On free throws, WKU made 11 out of 16, good for 68.8%, while UTEP made 19 out of 24, good for 79.2%. Rebounds, WKU held their own and slightly won that with a 33-31 margin. And then turnovers, like you said, UTEP came in leading the nation in turnovers created each game. They were averaging 17.9. They got there. They forced us into 18 turnovers, but we were nearly even with them. We forced them into 17 turnovers. So love to see that defensive effort. It was, like you said, it was an intense game. It was back and forth the whole time. Luckily, we were able to pull away there at the end. The points in the paint, this was one of the bigger, in my opinion, this was one of the bigger reasons why we won this game. We were aggressive the whole entire game. We had 42 points in the paint. We weren't just settling back for 3-pointers the entire game. We were driving to the hole, being aggressive. We talked about that since, the Middle Tennessee game. We're playing some teams with some big guys. We can't just, stay behind the 3-point line and shoot, 28, 30% from three all game. Drive it into their chest, go get an easy bucket, get a foul, get to the free throw line. So much good comes out of being aggressive, whether it's baskets, fouls, foul trouble, or kick out threes. We'll talk about that next game. But just so much good happens. Points in the paint, 42-26, huge WKU advantage in that area. And just overall, I mean, it had to lend itself to that 55% field goal percentage. I mean, that's a recipe to win. We had been struggling to stay above 40% field goal percentage. When you shoot 55%, you're going to win a lot of ball games. And the aggressiveness by the whole entire team this game, Christian Lander, Enoch, Braxton, Don, Tyrone. I mean, it was just contagious. It was infectious. And quite frankly, I think it carried over into the Saturday game. But Tyler, talk to me about some of these stats, these team leaders versus UTEP.
I mean, Christian Lander played like a man possessed. He I don't remember another game where he's been this aggressive. He just wasn't settling back and taking 3-pointers. Granted, he took 6, he hit 4 of them. But, I mean, he was getting into the lane, hitting the layups, getting fouled and ones. Just playing awesome. He had 3 assists as well, 2 rebounds, playing great. And then, Don McHenry, a few games ago, coach decided to bring him off the bench instead of starting him. I don't know if that is working. I'm guessing it is. Just kind of letting him come in, being that 6th man. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And then Marshall, I mean, he's kind of like he's flirted with a double-double so many times this season. I'm waiting for him just to get it. 8 points, 8 rebounds, also had 4 steals. He led the team in steals that game. He played amazing. Braxton Bayless, he came in, he helped out a little bit. Leroy, he got 3 rebounds. Blaze, he ended up getting 3 rebounds, he got 6 rebounds. So it is good that the bigs, Leroy and Blaze are starting to add to the team a little bit. And we're going to talk about them. I'll talk about them more next game because they were aggressive. But in this game, Enoch came in with 10 points, 6. He had 1 offensive rebound, 5 defensive, 1 steal and 1 assist. I mean, the whole team played great. I mean, even Jack, he didn't have no points, still had 3 assists, so he was responsible for at least 6 points. I mean, it just seems like we're starting to click right now, right at the right time of the season, if you ask me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that kind of segues us right into our grades for this game. And I have a feeling I know where these grades are going to land, but I'm going to ask anyways. What's your grade for the offense versus UTEP?
Offense is going to get an A. We have upped the field goal percentage. We've upped the 3-point percentage just a little bit in this game. But overall, we didn't get ran out. We kept it close, and we always fought back.
Yeah, easy A for me. 55% field goal shooting, just 42 points in the paint. Just a lot of good things on this team and this offense. Starting to get comfortable playing without a couple big-time contributors that we, thought we would have this season. Really like what I'm seeing from the offense. So yeah, definitely an easy A for me. What about your grade for the defense?
Defense, we fouled a little bit too much. We had 16 fouls. We let them get to the line 24 times, which is never good. Now their field goal percentage, they was off. Thankfully, they did kind of not get hot from 3-point land, but at least they hit 2 more than us. And we won the defensive battle, so I'm going to give the defense an A as well.
Yeah, it's an A for me. I mean, created almost as many turnovers as the number 1 turnover team in the nation. held them to 41% shooting, and got out of there with a victory. That's an A for me all day. What about your grade for coaching?
Coach, whenever it seemed like UTEP was going to go on a run or started a run, he called a timeout. Some coaches will not do that. They'll just let the team continue to play, and they'll try to get to the next media timeout. And he's starting to flip around the starting lineup, or at least the lineup just a little bit. That he's tweaking it. I'm going to give Coach an A.
Yeah, Coach Plona and staff are coaching their ass off. I will say it. I will defend it on Twitter. If you don't understand the greatness that we're witnessing from this staff on this year's coaching job, even Travis Hudson put out a tweet about it. Like, man, if you don't recognize how good he's doing being down, 2 or 3 contributing players on this year's team and still competing and winning games, with the lineups, with changing up defensive pressures, with matchups, just everything that goes into managing the team and the roster game to game and making adjustments. Coach Plona is showing that man knows how to win games. I think we already knew that looking at his resume when he got hired, but man, he is just absolutely coaching his ass off, and I will say it and defend it until he just is getting out coached, and that ain't happening. He is killing some pretty decent teams in Conference USA, and we're missing several guys. So I'm really happy. Coaching is an easy A for me. What about your grade for the fans for this home game?
Hey, I do wish there was a lot more there. I wish it was 45 or 5,000, 6,000, but they were loud. The fans got into it. The fans helped. If you ask me, the fans helped propel this team to the victory by kind of giving them some energy. So I'm going to give the fans a B+.
You know what? I'm just going to grade the fans that were there. And the fans that were there were loud and engaged and made an impact. So I'm going with an A, man. The fans get an A for me. Like you said, I would love to have more, be pushing 5,000-6,000. But the 2,900 that were there made it feel like we had 4,000 to 5,000 in there. So I was really glad and appreciative of that. We need that diddle magic to come back. What about your overall grade in this win?
I'm going to give the overall grade an A.
Yeah, pretty easy. A sweep for me. Just, again, it looks a lot better when you're winning games, and we won it, pretty comfortably with a really good performance. So love to talk about that anytime. And then, but wait, there's more, as you say. We had another game on Saturday. We hosted New Mexico State. The attendance for that game was announced as 3,745, so better, trending in the right direction. I think as we see with school coming back in session, students are back. Had a pretty good showing with students again. The team is now winning, 3 games in a row, as we came away with an impressive 101-69 victory. The win moved us to 14-8 overall in the year, and we are now 5-4 in Conference USA play. We are halfway through, 9 games into the 18-game conference schedule. We are in a 6-way tie for 3rd place. We are 1 game behind MTSU, and we are 2 games behind Jacksonville State. So, Tyler, what about this game? What about the attendance? What about this just amazing, dominating victory at Diddle on Saturday?
Well, I mean, if you would have told me that there's only an 800 people difference between Thursday and Saturday, I wouldn't have believed you. The Saturday game, I mean, it seemed and it sounded like there was a lot more people. The fans was rowdy. Of course, when you're blowing a team out, I mean, at halftime, honestly, as Randy Lee says, you can open up doors and let the ushers in. New Mexico State wasn't going to hold it close the rest of the way, but up until halftime, it was a close game. It was tight, but I mean, once they went into intermission, Tops came out with a whole different new perspective. had a fire lit under their ass, I reckon. I was in the post-game presser. The player said the coach gave them a speech, and, kind of gave them a speech, halftime speech, and they didn't ever say what was said in that speech, but it must have been something good because the team was shooting lights out. They was playing bully ball. They was playing aggressive. Leroy even got his hand in there and knocked the ball away down in the post. And, I mean, as soon as that ball came out, someone would get on it and they'd be gone. And Jack, he didn't have a behind the back pass this game, but I know he did Thursday.
Yeah, that was UTEP.
Yeah, UTEP. But, I mean, everyone played great. And I know we'll get into stats here in just a second, but if we can play like this on a consistent basis, that this would be your conference champion right here.
Yeah, that was one of the best offensive performances as a whole team that I've seen since we were talking about it earlier, the 2018 game where we played at Marshall. We scored 112 points that game. Darius Thompson with the triple-double. Dwight Colby and Justin Johnson were throwing down alley-oops from everywhere. Josh Anderson's first game being cleared by the NCAA to play. It had been a long time since I had seen an offensive onslaught of that caliber, and not against a Campbellsville or a KWC, somebody like that. Against a conference opponent, just absolutely obliterated them. Could not miss. It was just really fun to see, and I think those type of games you really just have to soak them in because they don't come around, but once every 5 or so years. So when that type of offensive output and explosion happens, man, you just have to enjoy it. And it was a fun one, man. Talking about some of the stat leaders, usual suspect, 2-time conference player of the week award winner Don McHenry led the way in scoring with 27 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists. And I did note he was 7 out of 9 from 3. So just absolutely lighting it up. 78% from 3. Unreal, unconscious. Tyrone Marshall, 24 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, just doing a little bit of everything, and 4 of 7 from 3. So half his points coming from 3, half of them being aggressive. Wu had a really, really good game. Again, X factor. I think him and Don, that's a deadly duo. But then we had several others as well. Enoch Kalambe, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, just does everything. Christian Lander, another good game, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. And then Braxton Bayless was our last scorer in double figures. He had 10 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about our walk-ons. Everybody got in on the party. Obviously, Jack plays pretty much every game. He's not your typical walk-on. But then Jalen Dorsey got in the game. He hit a step-back 3 that put us over 100 points for the game. Love to see that. And then Fluff, Odin, Tyler got into his layup package bag and just went to the hole, threw it up. I don't know how it went in, off the top of the backboard. A little glimpses and shades of Kyrie coming out of him, and put it in the hole and one. Went to the free throw line, man. Da-na-na, like you said, versus UTEP. That should have been a top 10 play, man. That was absolutely crazy, man. Love to see it. I mean, when that type of swagger and offensive firepower is happening, man, everybody's getting in on it. I mean, me and you could have subbed in. We could have banged a 3, man. Who knows? Looking at the team stats, field goals, WKU shot 39 out of 67, 58.2%. Another game just absolutely scorching the nets. And New Mexico State was 42.9% from the field. We had a 9 field goal attempt advantage over them. That's just how much we were dominating this game. 3-point percentage. This is where the lid comes off. We pulled a Michigan against New Mexico State when Michigan lit us up earlier this year. Sometimes you're on the receiving end, sometimes you're on the giving end of the flame throwing, and we were 18 out of 36 from 3, good for 50%. That's good. New Mexico State was only 7 out of 22, good for 31.8%. That's an average game for most teams. That's an average game for us. But man, that diddle magic, once they started going in, Rebounds, WKU held a big margin advantage there, 36-27. And then assists, we had 21 assists on our 39 made field goals. So love to see that. New Mexico State had 12 assists. And then free throws, we made 5 out of 7. Not a lot of free throw attempts when you're shooting 36 threes on the game. So about the only statistic we lost. New Mexico State made 14 out of 16, good for 87.5%. Man, Tyler, what about this game? A lot of special performances and memories and just everybody getting in on the action, man. What are your thoughts on some of these stats?
Yeah, it was great seeing everyone chip into it because, Tyrone Marshall, whenever he went out there, I mean, he played great. Of course, Don coming off the bench. Them two players, they are something special, and it is exciting to watch them play together. Enoch, he also chipped in on it. One thing I would like to say that, the assist was 21-12. One thing that I've seen in this game that I ain't seen in, games in the past was, we may throw the ball or pass the ball, or we may have a guard or someone who sits out there and dribbles around, then all of a sudden just chucks up a shot. Now, on this one, they made the extra pass. They went around, and then they may have made one too many passes, but it still ended up working out because, I mean, the dude called it. The players called it. They was set up, stepped into it, and just stroked it. I mean, great offensive game we watched, and I can't say that enough. It was amazing. I was sitting there, and I was like, come on. I just wanted to get over 100, especially whenever it was like 90 some points, like 95 with like 5 minutes left. I was like, oh, come on, just get us over century mark. They did. In the post game presser, Coach Hank said that he would have put Fluff in earlier, but he remembered what happened last season down there whenever we was up like 50-something to 20-something. They came back and beat us. So he was like, I wasn't going to risk it. But, man, everyone chipped in. And it's crazy what happens whenever you win the rebound battle. We've seen it these last 2 games. We won it, and we've won the game. So them second chance points, limiting the other team's second chance points always helps you out. But these stats, you're right. I mean, I hopefully they keep this momentum going, because if they do, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, perfect segue right into what I suspect I know these grades will be, but we got to talk about them, man. What's your grade for the offense versus New Mexico State?
A+. Team deserves unlimited A's on this one.
Yeah, give them all the A's for the offense. Every single person, every player. That was our best output of the season so far, and hopefully we can maintain some sort of semblance to that offensive aggressiveness and firepower the rest of the season, because obviously we win a lot of ball games when we play like that or anywhere near that stratosphere of execution. So easy A. What about your grade for the defense?
Defense definitely going to get an A as well. I mean, we held them to 42 and 31. And in this game, I didn't think they shot 16 free throws. That's crazy. There weren't many fouls called. Like, heck, I think in the second half it was 11 minutes left in the game before we even got our first foul. The rest were letting them play, and I like that. But I mean, our defense was playing lights out on this one, so an A.
Yeah, easy A for me on the defense as well. I mean, really, the effort on defense has been there all season. There's been no questioning that. I think we're starting to see it come together and clicking on both sides of the ball. And hopefully, like we said, hopefully that continues into the middle of February. Big road trip coming up, and then obviously the rematch with Middle Tennessee right behind that. So need to keep playing at this level, but definitely an A for the defense. What about your grade for coaching?
Coaching definitely going to get an A. You know, he had a game plan set up. He made the adjustments at halftime. You know, he was swapping defenses up, trying to mask some stuff, keeping New Mexico State on their heels. It worked. So coaching staff gets an A.
Do I need to say it again? Coach Plona is coaching his ass off. That's an A. The entire staff, Cross, McAllister, Newman, all the guys, everybody are doing an amazing job with this team this year and where they're at right now, playing their best basketball in early February. Let's keep that going. Easy A for me. What about your grade for the fans?
As I said earlier, I thought there was a lot more than 3,700 people in that arena. They were loud. They were getting into the game, really pushing the team on, even while it was out of hand. The fans never really gave up. The fans were cheering loud and proud. So A for them.
Yeah, another easy A. I hope the fans that were there, I hope everyone comes back. Obviously we're on the road this week, but when we get back into Diddle, I hope, they come. Win or lose, I hope they show up because they're going to see good basketball in Diddle Arena. A team that plays hard, plays a good brand of basketball, and needs their help and their support to win. So the fans get an A for me. What about your overall grade?
Overall, is easy A.
Yeah, A for me as well. When you have that kind of record, output, performance offensively, and really solid defensively, I mean, you can't get anything else but an A. So love it. Moving on, we got to talk about the upcoming road trip that we have this week. And hopefully some of that offense travels because we've got a couple tough matchups. We know how hard it is on the road to win in Conference USA. Typically, you're behind the 8 ball. You're not going to be favored. But this Thursday, February 6th, we play at Kennesaw State. The game is a 6 p.m. tip on ESPN+. Kennesaw State enters the game at 13-9 overall. They are one of the 6 teams at 5-4, tied with us in third place. In their most recent game, they're coming off of a win versus FIU. Currently, WKU is 14-8 overall. We are 5-4 in conference play. The ESPN matchup predictor pretty much calls this game a toss-up, slightly favoring Kennesaw State, 48.4% for WKU, 51.6% for Kennesaw State. To me, that's a toss-up in Conference USA on the road. It's going to come down to execution, rebounding, aggressiveness, Tyrone Marshall, just some of these things that we've seen the last 3 games now that we've won. If we can carry those over onto the road, I'm going to like our chance. Now, these teams last met on January 11th in Diddle Arena with WKU winning the game 85-69. We were led in that game by Tyrone Marshall with 20 points. Adrian Woolley led Kennesaw State with 27 points and 10 rebounds. He's their star freshman player, likely Conference USA Freshman Player of the Year. Julius Stedford was right there kind of with him, neck and neck. They had traded off some Freshman of the Week awards. But with Julius going down a couple weeks ago, I would say that award is all but his. And he was everything that he was advertised to be. He is a really good athletic player. 27 points, 10 rebounds in that first matchup. I mean, that's good for any player. That's good, but that's a true freshman at Kennesaw. He is really solid, and he is obviously, one of the players we're going to have to watch out for in this rematch. And then Simeon Cottle also had 15 points in that first game. And then I had to point out that their big man, Brandon Liu, didn't score in double figures. I think he had 6 points, if I recall correctly, but he had 10 rebounds in that first matchup. He's a 6'10". He's a big man. That rebounding margin being so important, so critical, that's someone that we're going to have to be aware of and try to box out and try to, hold him down. I mean, Woolley and Lou both with 10 rebounds. I mean, you don't see that a lot on very many teams, 2 guys getting 10 rebounds. So some guys that are crashing the boards on their end. And now the question remains, can our newfound offense and just what we've seen the last 3 games, the improved shooting, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, the aggressiveness, several players, Christian Lander, Enoch, Braxton, Tyrone, Don being Don. Can that offense travel and be as successful at Kennesaw State? That is the question. And quite frankly, that's probably going to determine, how our seeding shakes out heading into the Conference USA tournament in just a few weeks from now. But Tyler, what are your thoughts on this game, this matchup coming up against Kennesaw State?
Whenever we played them at our house, first time playing them, we didn't really know what to expect. But since we already played them, we know what Woolley can do. We know what Lou can do. I mean, this team is good, and it is going to be an experience going down playing at Kennesaw State for the first time since they just moved to conference. But I feel like the Tops are going to get it done. I mean, we are on a 3-game winning streak. They just, that they lost to UTEP, Liberty, beat FIU, so they're on a 1-game winning streak. But I feel like this is a good game because it's going to test us. We came up high against New Mexico State. How do we respond to that? Whenever we get smacked in the mouth, are we going to fold over, or are we going to punch back? Because these road games are hard to win, especially in Conference USA. I mean, and then hopefully on the Saturday game, when we talk about that, depending on if that's a late, early game, that all factors into it. But with this game, I think our offense will travel. I think the team has finally tasted what that success is like, to score and to play together at a high tempo. And I feel like they're going to feed off of it. They're going to love it. I feel like they're going to bring the heat.
I hope you're right. Looking forward to that Saturday game. February 8th, we play at Jacksonville State. Obviously, the Fighting Ray Harpers, former Hilltopper coach from many, many years ago. The game is a 4 p.m. tip. It's on ESPN Plus. The ESPN matchup predictor really likes Jacksonville State, 2-1, basically 66% for Jacksonville State, 34% for WKU. Jacksonville State is currently 15-7 on the season. They are 7-2 in conference play, and they are in first place in the conference all alone. 1 game ahead of Middle Tennessee, and then 2 games ahead of the 6-way tie at 5-4. So, this one kind of feels like it might be a little bit of a revenge game opportunity for WKU and the Hilltoppers. I think we all remember how, I don't want to say, a little bit disrespectful the last game was, and how Coach Harper acted after the game, going around Ditto Arena acting like he had just won, his Super Bowl or a national championship to, finally get a win in Ditto Arena. I know he hadn't done that in a decade, but maybe we need to go back down there and repay the favor. I think this team is playing a lot better than what we were at that time when we played them on January 9th. And Jacksonville State did win that game 73-67. They were led by 5 players in double figures, which is always a good thing if you're trying to win a game. Bad for us, but they were led by Mason Nicholson, who had 20 points and 12 rebounds. And then their leading scorer, Jerron Pierre Jr., that we talked about in the preview of that game, he had a little bit of an off night. He was 5 out of 18 shooting and only 1 out of 7 from 3. He did finish with 12 points, but one of 5 guys to score in double figures to help lift them up and for them to pull away and get that victory at Ditto Arena. So looking forward to that rematch. This really feels like a pivotal road swing for us. I think we're going to start to see some separation. It's pretty clear right now that Jacksonville State and Middle Tennessee are kind of the top 2 teams in the league. A week or 2 ago, you would have said New Mexico State and UTEP were up there as well until they both got knocked off by us. So, I think we're going to start to see some separation in the standings from that big 6-way tie for 3rd place. And it's really going to boil down to who can win on the road. I think a lot of teams are going to hold serve at home, but we need to go in and steal one, if not both, of these road games that we have coming up, because that's going to help us hopefully skip up and set us up in good position when it comes to that Middle Tennessee rematch. But man, I'm really looking forward to it. I know they're both going to be tough games. But Tyler, how are you feeling about this Jacksonville State game?
Well, I feel a lot better about it than whenever we watched that game, and it just seemed like none. Of course, we were using Marshall and Enoch as kind of stand-in post players. Leroy and Blaze. Blaze, I think, was still hurt. Leroy, he hadn't caught up to the game just yet. But that Mason Nicholson, I mean, he ran that paint. They would toss it into him, and there's nothing we could have done to stop him. I mean, from the threes, they didn't hurt us at all. I mean, 3 for 20. That's terrible shooting percentage, but their points in the paint and points within that 3-point arc, that's what ate us up. I feel like this is a completely different team than what we saw back on in that first game. I feel like the team's going to be ready for a little bit of payback because, obviously they saw the disrespect that Jack State players was given to them, given to the fans. They saw Ray Harper run around like a chicken with his head cut off. And I feel like the coaches and the basketball players are going to be ready for a little payback.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as always, we're going to jump into some keys to victory for both of these games, for the Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State games. So, Tyler, what's your first key to victory for this road trip?
Keep grabbing them rebounds. I'm going to use that one from last week. I mean, since we've been winning the rebounding battle, we've had a really good chance of winning the game. So just keep it up.
We don't share notes, I promise, but we've got like-minded thoughts here because my number one key to victory is also rebound the ball. We need to make a concerted effort. Tyrone Marshall, Braxton, Christian, Don, all those guys that have been just so good and strong on the boards. We need to continue that. And then don't let me leave out Leroy and Blaze. They have done an amazing job the last few games, grabbing boards and being impactful on both ends of the court. So, yeah, my number one key to victory is also keep rebounding the ball. What is your second key to victory?
Control the paint. As I said, last game, I mean, they just chewed us up and spit us out. And, they would – I still remember that number 50, Mason Nicholson. I mean, he just basically did what he wanted to do there in the paint. No one could really stop him, slow him down. I mean, he's had a great night. We can't continue to let that happen in this game.
Yeah, my second key to victory is to stay aggressive, and I'm looking directly at Tyrone Marshall, that who I think is an X factor for this team and for this season. But really, that goes for everyone. I think when we're attacking the basket and getting into the paint, obviously that's going to help our field goal percentage. And I've talked about, it's going to create fouls. It's going to create free throw opportunities. It's going to create foul trouble. And if the defense sucks in and you have a kick out to an open 3-point shooter, we saw what happened last game, 50%, 18 out of 36. So I think only good things happen when this offense and this team, the pace we play is moving the ball and being aggressive, attacking the basket. Only good things happen, and I want to see that continue against Kennesaw and Jacksonville State. What is your third key to victory?
Mine's going to be give the extra pass. As you just stated, I was thinking about using play from the inside out, but I mean, obviously that extra pass is what gives you them 3 points. It gives you a better chance hitting that 3-point shot or making a play off the dribble. But from what I saw and how much they were sharing the ball this past Saturday, it'd be great to see us go down there and do the exact same thing.
My third key to victory is going to be turnovers, and more specifically, limiting turnovers. Not just having those empty possessions, those live ball turnovers that allow momentum to creep back into the home team's advantage. I think we have to value the ball. That's tough when you're going against teams like UTEP, FIU, New Mexico State, teams that force a lot of turnovers. These teams aren't necessarily that known for their pressure. So if we're being aggressive, if we're doing those things I said my second key to victory, we also have to be careful with the ball, though, not over aggressive, not making careless passes, cross court passes that are getting picked off, etc. So definitely value the ball. No crazy, no dumb turnovers. Just try to control that margin and keep it as even as possible, or in our advantage. Always a good thing. Tyler, who is going to be your MVP for these road games?
I'm going to go with Tyrone Woo Marshall. I feel like one of these games is going to have a double-double finally.
Yeah, I'm literally flipping a coin because Tyrone, I think, is obviously the X factor in my opinion. I think he can be impactful in just so many ways for this team, defensively, rebounding the ball. And then we saw his aggressiveness and shooting. When he gets hot, he is hot. We saw that against Marquette in the NCAA tournament last year. But I'm flipping a coin, and I have to stick with Don McHenry, the straw that stirs the drink, as I will always call him. I think this team will go as Don goes, and whether that's coming off the bench or starting the game. 20-plus point Don is a hard Don to beat, and I think that's who we've seen the last 3 and 4 games, and I think that needs to continue into the season. Obviously, with the help of others and the role players and X factors we've talked about, but I think Don is the head of the snake until proven otherwise. So give me Don McHenry. Tyler, what about some score predictions for Kennesaw and Jacksonville State?
All right, so against Kennesaw State, I got Tops winning 81-75. And then for Jack State, I originally had 75-68, but I'll do 74-68 Tops win.
And worth noting, you were 1 point off last week's game, the Thursday game versus UTEP. You were 78-73 was your guess, 78-74. You were closest to the amount of jelly beans in the jar. You didn't win anything, but heck of a guess. I like both of these as well. 2 victories. I'm right there with you. My red glasses are just hard for me to take off. I think both games are going to be tough, just like we've talked about. Every single road game is tough. I've got the Tops winning the Kennesaw State game. I have us winning 80-74, and then the Jacksonville State game, the Ray Harper rematch, the revenge match for the Hilltoppers. I've got us winning that one 77-74. So a tight and tough game. Both of them are going to be tough. They're not going to be gimmies. These are tough teams, and on the road always just makes it that much harder. But man, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to get back here next Monday, Tuesday, and be recapping a couple wins, be talking about 5 wins in a row, be talking about, looking at second place in the conference standings, and, getting back to Diddle Arena real soon. So looking forward to it, man. Love basketball season. Obviously, everything else going on. Love talking about all that stuff too. But man, basketball season, and when this team is playing good, it's a special feeling to be back in Diddle Arena for that Diddle magic, man. Tyler, hit us with your final words and take us on out of here.
Yeah, as you were talking about the Diddle magic, it is something special. Diddle Arena is a great place to watch a basketball game, especially when fans get into it, get loud, get hype. It seems like the roof's about to be taken off that place. I just want everyone to come out and experience it. Bring your family members, bring your friends, bring your nephews, nieces, aunts, everybody. Just come on out, enjoy the game day atmosphere, enjoy spending 2 hours of your life surrounded by people who are passionate about the Hilltoppers, and cheer on, be loud. Because I think the next home game is what, MTSU? We can't let that crowd from down south end up beating us, because I watched that game. It didn't seem like there was a lot of people down there. So I don't know if they're used to playing in a full house. I doubt it, but it would be nice to be able to get on their nerves a little bit whenever they get up here and put some fear into them. But as always, who has it better than us, Mom?
Nobody, buddy. You know it.
Go Tops.
Go Tops. Later, guys.
See you.